My next guest, he's a perfect professional mixed martial artist with a perfect record of 9 wins with 0 losses. He's finished 8 out of his 9 wins and is coming off a highlight reel knockout win over Leonardo Damiani on Dana White's Contender Series to kick off the entire series. Please welcome onto the show, AJ the Ghost Fletcher. How you doing, AJ?
Yo, good man. How are you?
Doing good, brother. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Looking forward to it.
It's been, I'm sure for you, and let me just start off with a conversation first, man. I want to know, how have you been, man? How have you been? Because I'm sure the last 2 weeks kind of have been a little bit of a roller coaster, right? It's been kind of crazy.
Sure, yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of messages, a lot of people reaching out, wishing well and all that. The I would say the week of the fight. So we fought on a Tuesday and I flew back on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'd say that week was a little interesting just from coming back and trying to see people and everything, and the time change and just the lack of sleep more than anything too. That week was kind of like a oof. I ended up catching a little something. I don't know. It wasn't COVID. It must have been like a little cold or something, bro. But
Yeah.
felt a little under the weather for I guess 2 or 3 days, and then kicked that, and then now we're right back to training and all. But yeah, man, it's been interesting. Definitely the biggest pop, I guess you would say, after one of my fights for sure.
I mean, definitely. I mean, that thing should have been an ESPN. I did not see if it made the ESPN highlight reels. Did you check that?
Yeah, I had a few people that sent that to me, and Dana White actually said the night of the fight, whenever he was walking out after announcing the contracts and all, whenever he shook hands and all, he was like, "Look, kid, I'm gonna make sure that's number one on Sports Center." I was like, "Oh, thank you, boss."
Yeah, man. I mean, that was legit, man. It's a very ferocious one. Great fight on there. And I'm sure, again, those DMs have been coming. I've had a Brian Battle, Ultimate Fighter Season 29 on the show. He's told me
hmm
that he started making a lot of friends after that Andre Petrosky fight, and then obviously he's won and stuff. So he's had people from all over times in his life text him. Did you get a similar situation?
I got some for sure. There's a couple cool messages from like people I've like heard of. Like there's a dude named CT Fletcher who's like a big workout guy. He
Yeah,
commented on one of my things, something funny, and no, man, it's been cool though. You got to take it all in stride, as I'm sure Brian's doing and everything, and yeah, just take it all in and soak it up.
yeah. I mean, it also does come with the territory.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got to know how to manage that, and I'm not gonna say I'm a pro at that just yet, but we learning. That's the
Definitely,
plan.
definitely. Greg Strecker told me to say hi to you. Actually, he
Now
talked
that's
to me.
Greg from. Okay, he went to Russell Jones and he trained at Russell's, right?
I believe so. I believe so. He just told me he's the one that initially they told me, hey, you should reach out to AJ Fletcher. I know him from these.
Okay.
You just tell him the Russell Jones days. I have no idea what that meant. So that's why when I messaged you, I said that. And he's like, he'll remember that.
Oh yeah, dude. Greg, I think if I'm thinking of the right one, which I'm pretty sure I am,
Yeah.
Greg, like my first amateur, or it's not even really an amateur fight. It's a smoker kickboxing match
Yeah.
in the gym that we trained at with like rope rings and our actual ropes for the ropes around the
Yeah.
boxing ring. And Greg, like you can see him in the little video, like come and like raise my hand in there and stuff, bro. It's yeah, no, I absolutely remember.
Yeah. Well, he's a huge supporter of you, man, and literally was just raving about the fight leading up to it and stuff like that. So definitely, yeah, shout out to him. But so AJ, so let me go into this, right? So I know you're coming off a huge win and stuff, and a lot of people that maybe like TV audiences, right? People that watch UFC or UFC related content just see that fight, right? And it's just one fight in your journey. You've had 8 other fights. You're undefeated professional mixed martial artist, but there's a journey behind that. There's a story behind that. Now, why did you start training MMA?
Yeah, man. So I was for most of my life I played football and soccer and really baseball for a good bit as well, up through high school, and then played all the way through high school. And the plan was for me to try to go play football somewhere. That's what I wanted to do since I was little, and that was what I was trying to pursue. And
Okay.
I would say I remember the whole process of recruiting and everything, and the way it is. At least I'm pretty sure it's this way now. The way it was when I was coming through the whole recruiting process and stuff. It was very hey, go to this combine. We're gonna have you run a 40-yard dash. We're gonna have you stand in place and do a jumping vertical. We're gonna measure your height. We're gonna measure your wingspan. We're gonna measure your bench press. How many you do with this and it was very like tangible things, right? It was very like all the stats you can see on paper, right?
Of
But
course.
it was very little of like, let me actually watch your game film and watch your game footage and see if like see the angles you're making, see the reads you make, see how you make plays, see how you organize in a team and all that. And I remember like that process of like seeing people I'd actually play against and like seeing them getting all this, attention from recruiters and all these scholarship offers and stuff. And I remember towards the end of my senior year going to these combines, I'm like, bro, what is this? Like, just let me play the game. Like, let me play against these guys. Let me show you what I can do. Like, judge me from the actual games that I'm playing against these people,
That's
not,
interesting.
how high I'm jumping, how fast I'm running or whatever. I get those things are important, but let's look at it in the context of the game. So towards the end of my senior year, started becoming obvious that I probably wouldn't, get that shot like I had hoped, unless I would do a walk-on route or something, which, is fine, but it just wasn't quite the route I wanted to go. And yeah, man, I started just kind of getting the wheels turning. I was like, damn, dude, like what's an area I can put this competitive fire into where, there's not really that many gatekeepers to your dreams. It's something like MMA, right? If I'm winning, if I'm 9-0, if I'm stacking up wins and I'm finishing people, you can say I'm small for a weight class, you can say I'm slow, you can say whatever, but at the end of the day, like somebody's got to go in there and prove it to me. And that was like one of the things that and that was one of the things that appealed to me after, being overlooked and all that with other sports. It was like, okay, let me go in there and show my merit. And if somebody's going to try to disprove that, they got to disprove it. There's no like, oh, you don't get a shot. It's like, no, what comes out there is the truth. And, you can't say any physical stat behind it. You can't write off the truth with any physical stats. You got to just watch it. And, I slowly kind of started training at Russell's, met Greg, met some guys there who took me under their wing and showed me some stuff that they had learned. And eventually one of the guys there he just kind of said like, look, man, like, you can learn a lot here and all that, but if you really kind of want to, make your move in MMA and kind of go to that next level, you gotta find a gym around here that's kind of focused on that,
Yeah.
And that was my freshman year of college. And rewind a little bit, I had started training towards the very end of my senior year in high school, trained through my freshman year of college. Freshman year of college, that summer going into sophomore year, I started taking trips down to Lafayette and stuff like that. And when sophomore year came, I transferred all my credits and moved down to UL and moved down to Lafayette and started training here and going to school here as well.
Yeah, so that's just so the audience knows, you are born and raised Louisiana, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
From Baton Rouge.
Awesome. Now, so I want to back up here because you make a very interesting point here. So you're talking about, athletics, right? And the way you're working. And it just sounds like there's not a lot of judgment or not a huge rating on actual gameplay, on actual like game footage and the ability of you playing the game on game day. Of course, size matters, right? There's a little bit of limitations with what you can do, when you're playing against high school athletes and when you transition to college, but a lot of it should be based on how you're playing. And I don't know what your knowledge on NFL is, but Tom Brady, right? A guy that graded terribly in all those exercises
horrible,
that you mentioned. He said, he said I didn't do that right. But fortunately for me, that's not what being a quarterback's about. It's not about how high you can jump, just to put it in the context like that. So it's very intriguing. And I think that in Texas, at least, we've seen a lot of like higher graded recruits not make it that, that big. One of them that comes to mind, Kyle Allen, right? Kyle Allen was a number one recruit quarterback in Texas and is a backup, somewhere, that's not, you're not grading people to be 5-star recruits to be able to just be backups. Those are people with high expectations. So it's very interesting that you say that. And, that's probably a reason why, how are these people getting judged? So it's very intriguing on there. So you took the MMA route. Now, when did you decide to train with Tim?
Yeah. So after my freshman year of college, I decided to, I talked with one of the guys in the gym and he was just like, look, man, you got some potential. Like, just go give it a shot at like a gym around here whose kind of focus is bringing up fighters. And not to say that's the only thing that Tim and them do at Gladiators. Like we have a kids program, we've got a jiu-jitsu program for people outside of that. But in terms of, being around people who have gotten people to the UFC level or being around people who have, brought up amateur fighters, brought them up through the pros and all that, there's nowhere really better, I think, in Louisiana to be around than Tim. It's almost like everybody, I don't want to say everybody because this is probably a broad generalization, but a lot of people in Louisiana who are in the MMA culture have some sort of connection or some sort of genesis with Tim, really. Like there's a lot of people in here who've Tim has touched their lives and touched their martial arts journey in some way. So for me, I think I did some research and watched the Fightville documentary. I don't know if you've seen that from back in the day. Oh, dude, you got to watch it. It's Fightville it's this guy from like an award-winning filmmaker who came down from Canada. Like, I think he would come down in like every 3 months or so. So he would see Dustin. It was basically right before Dustin got into the WEC, right? Okay. So he's still fighting in local shows. He's fighting in rodeo arenas. He goes up to Canada and fights this dude named Derek the Sex Machine Goche. It's gold. And it's like, for somebody like me, like you see all these guys in Gladiators. Some of them I'm still training with. Tim's in it. My other coach is in it. And you see Dustin like at this point. And I'm like, hey, well, yeah, dude, that's probably where, I need to go. So
the Sex Machine. Hold up, though, brother. The Sex Machine's a nickname.
Right, bro, dude. He walked out with like all these girls and stuff in his walk-in. Is
this WWE or what?
It sounds like it. I don't know what they're doing up in Canada, bro. But
hey, man, that's. I thought the Ghost was a badass nickname.
Yeah, I'll stick with that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you saw the documentary. After that, you're sold, right? This is the gym you want to come train at.
Yeah, man. And then after, Dustin was in the UFC at that time, so I could see, he came from Lafayette. I'm like, the wheels just kind of start getting turned, and you're like, okay, this is probably a decent move. Let me see if I like the school. I took a few trips down during the summer while I was working a job and stayed at my friend's empty apartment that had like no fridge, no food, no furniture, just like an empty bed, and would come down for like a day or two, get some training in. And, after doing that a few times, I realized like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna transfer everything and move and try to pursue this.
Definitely. Now, AJ, so how old were you when you started this?
I started at, I think I was 18 when I first started kickboxing.
Okay, so for a young man, and for anyone that's listening out there that's around that 17, 18, or even just somebody that wants to try MMA, what's the process? So you're going in, right? And I'm sure they get this a lot, right? You go to a gym. I want to be a fighter. I want to be an MMA fighter, right? I mean, do they take you as serious when you say that right away? Is there a certain criteria that you have to meet when you want to do this professionally? What's the process when you go into a gym? Is it as easy as, hey, I want to be a fighter? That's it. Like to take classes.
But that is exactly how mine started at Gladiators. So okay. I walked in with two of my buddies who lived down here, and I walk in, and he had kind of, I guess he had walked in like a week or so before, because he was thinking about maybe starting doing classes or something, just kind of for fun. And he saw Tim and was like, hey, I got a buddy who's moving down here from Baton Rouge, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like just told him about me, I guess. And I'm sure Tim had no idea who I was at this point. Yeah. And then we walk in like a week or two later, and I'm with that buddy. And he kind of says something first. Tim's sitting behind the counter. He goes, hey, this is my buddy from Baton Rouge. He wants to be a pro fighter. And immediately, like, my heart just like, I'm like, oh, no, he didn't. He said it. Oh, no. But Tim was sitting there, and he was like, I don't know. You can just kind of tell, like, they hear that a lot for sure.
Oh, exactly.
You hear that a lot with people not kind of following through with it. So I had been around the game at least like a year at this point. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I got to prove myself or whatever. And did some classes that night and all that. But anyway, if I was to give advice to a beginner, I would say, dude, just start. It doesn't matter. Like, figure out if you want to do jiu-jitsu, figure out if you want to do kickboxing classes. Just start and understand that you don't have to go balls to the wall from the freaking jump. If you were young like me, and even if you're not, like, whenever you're first trying something new, like, I say this a lot, but you've got to build your life into it. You can't just jump straight into like step 10 and go 5 days a week and do all this stuff. Like, your body's got to adapt to it. So just start and do, like, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's striking, find somewhere that's good, find somewhere that has a good gym culture of teaching and not absolutely smashing beginners, because there's some places, depending on where you go, where it's maybe not the best learning environment. But see if you can find those places. Like, you're not going to figure out what place is what unless you try it, right? And then just start a class a week, 2 classes a week, whatever it may be, and then slowly try to build your life into it if you want to make it a career or profession. It's each, like, along my route of college and stuff, it was this slow boil of like, okay, I can make classes like 3 days a week, and I got to work nights and study these 2 days a week. And then, maybe the next year it was like, okay, now I can get a training session in the morning too, and then also make these sessions. So then I have a little bit more sessions. Then it was, okay, well, now I can work this job that, gives me a little bit more time. So now I'm making 5 sessions a week and maybe 3 morning sessions. And it's building it into that. And when you build it into that, other parts of your life don't suffer as much because you understand slowly, what to take away and what to adjust. And also you give your body like time to adapt. My body didn't look like this when I first started. It was very, very different. My bone density, I guarantee, was different. My face structure was definitely different. My nose was a little bit straighter. My ears didn't look like this. Like
Yeah,
all
the
this
years.
takes time, and if you try to jump in to the deep end right away, there's some people who can swim, who've maybe been wrestling or done competitive sports. But my biggest thing, especially to somebody who's never really gotten in, is just start slowly, man, and just understand that you can build it from wherever you start.
Yeah. So was it hard for you? Because I mean, you're training, you're going to college, you have a degree. So was it hard to manage all those things in your life, AJ?
For sure it was. It was a balancing act. And freshman year at LSU, I was trying to figure out how to train, and I was still where I was going to college was like 30 to 45 minutes on a good traffic day from where I was. So there was that. And then I was, working night jobs in a bar and working a student job too at LSU. So there was definitely a lot of balance, but I also found, I don't know, it taught me very well to organize my time and understand what's important and how to set priorities and how to make a plan, I guess, for the week, which if I didn't have school, if I didn't have work, and if I didn't have training all in that same kind of deal, I don't know that I would be as professional, I guess you want to say, as I am now with my schedule and my training and my routine and all that. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but I don't know. As a young man, especially in college, I think not having a lot of free time per se is maybe a good thing,
Yeah,
keeping you
for
on the
sure.
right track and not keeping you from, keeping you from doing certain things that maybe kind of, lead you the wrong way. But
Of course.
yeah, no, man, it was a challenge, but it was good.
Now, so those are challenges you endured, again, going after your dream. Now, in your dream, right? Fighting isn't easy. People think it's all limelight and fame and all these things, but there's a lot of work that gets put into it, and to be at your level is very impressive. But, and people want to say, oh, that guy just wins. He's undefeated. He's just a badass. He's just good or whatnot. But people don't see the work. Now, you did have amateur fights, correct?
Had 10
Okay.
of them.
And so now you had 2 losses on there. Am I correct?
Yeah, I have 2 on Tapology, and then I actually have another one that's not on there. I don't know why, but I have 3 amateur losses.
Okay. Now I know the 2 were in a row, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're experiencing that and you're trying to, because amateurs get you to pros, right? A lot of people treat it as the same thing. That's the best way to handle things, right? You treat every single fight like it's a pro fight. So, was there any negativity that you felt in yourself? Because mental health is such a huge thing right now. But how did you? How were you able to overcome that? Was there any negativity that crept into your dream? Losing 2 fights in a row. I'm sure losing sucks. I've never fought, but I can only imagine it sucks. Let alone 2 losses in a row. How did you handle that? And was it tough? I mean, was it a mental thing as well, AJ?
Oh, for sure, dude. It's so it was 2 losses in a row, and I
Okay.
had won one before that, and I had actually lost the one right before that. So I started off my amateur career, if I remember right, at 4-3, and then I've gone on the winning streak ever since. But really, kind of some things changed after those 2 losses. It's almost like, I don't know. You want loss as an amateur for sure. You want to figure out how you respond to those things. You want to figure out the areas in your game you need to tweak and all that. And for me, when I lost, I remember that after the second loss, after my last loss, I stayed up. I always generally stay up throughout the night, like after my fight, because adrenaline and all that. But
Yeah.
I remember I stayed on the couch until like 3 or 4 in the morning, like trying to look up all these videos and trying to figure out like a common theme of all these. It was mostly entertainers, but business people, rappers, other fighters, all these people who like basically bet it all on themselves and won. They achieved their dream. I was trying to figure out what that common theme was, right? And eventually it just became obvious that they were willing to go all in on themselves. They were willing to be broke and get by with the absolute minimum that they could. They were willing to sacrifice, social gatherings and parties and all these things that are normal for their age. They were willing to, you know, go go late at night to the gym and get home at 10 for 3, 4, 5 years in a row, or even living outside of the gym in some cases. And I realized after that one, like, it almost, the losses, as much as they sucked, I realized that me doing all that research and me still wanting the dream after those 2 losses in that low point, I was like, oh, okay, well, like, I have that. Like, I'm at the lowest point in my career right now that I've ever been, more losses, whatever. And I still am looking for ways out of it, looking for ways to build my life into it. Once I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, I've got something. And then you kind of just, you start building off of that. And then you just start putting the pieces together. Like each fight, each loss, I figured out something different about my game that I had to kind of switch up. And eventually when those pieces mesh together and they sync up, your mind frame starts getting right. And you start gaining some momentum with some wins and your training partners, and you see them win and you're like, oh, wait, if they're winning, there's no reason I couldn't do it. And then you just kind of start building off of that. But for me, dude, the realizing, like, that I was willing to go all in at the lowest point, I guess, was like it was almost like a freeing thing, if that makes sense. And then from then on out, it's almost like you don't, once you're committed to the road or the journey of it, no matter what the losses or whatever bring, it's almost like, oh, well, now I don't care if I win or I lose, because I'm stuck with, this is what I'm choosing to do. I'm stuck with this until I see this thing out. And it was just like a boom, now you're free. I don't know how to explain it.
No, you know, I definitely understand. So, you know, I've gotten the privilege to speak to a lot of great people, and something that somebody told me, and she's a jiu-jitsu world champ. She just, and it just spoke to me, man. You know, she told me, when you have a dream, right? And when you have a clear goal, a dream is a goal, right? It's a clear goal. You have to understand when you start it, why you're doing this. You know, there's people that want to fight, be famous for those kind of things. I want to be famous. I want to have money. When the fighters, you know, sometimes, you know, it's a real struggle here with money, but you know, some people think it's all fame, right? And oh, you know, I want to be out there and make a crap load of money. I want to be famous. But when things get tough, if that's the only reason why you're doing this, it's not going to get you very far. And by that, I mean, and, you know, she just went on to tell me that, you know, you have to realize, like, if this is truly what you want and this is your dream and it's something that you want to work towards, the reason why you're doing it is going to be the reason that gets you through those hard times. You know, that's the thing. You know, when it's tough, you're not going to cling up to, oh, I want to be famous. You know, what the hell's that? You know, you got to truly have purpose. So I definitely feel like that's the sense that you had as well when you were overcoming those things. And it's clearly helped out a lot. You know, you've been on the win streak. You have not lost a fight ever since then, correct then?
Right. And I guess, man, to kind of piggyback off that too, it's like, I've been asked a question, like, why do you fight and stuff like that. And it's funny, like, looking back over the years, like, how my answers kind of changed, but you have to, like, let your reason for fight, like, the reason I fight now and stuff is definitely not the reason I would think of back then. When I first started, it was like, oh, you know, I like to hit people. I'm trying to, like, put that into something productive and not be like this, you know, outcast member of society.
Oh, definitely.
So, like, that was maybe the reason then. And then but like, as you start doing it, like, it just, your reason, like, gets built into something different too. You recognize, like, okay, wait, this thing that I'm doing, it actually builds me into, like, a better person. Then you're like, okay, wait, like, people around me can, like, draw from me doing this thing and can improve their life. And then your reason builds and builds and builds. But if you were to say, like, the reason, if you were to tell me my reason now to my 18-year-old self, he would be like,
Different.
that's too much, but no, I ain't doing it.
I'm like, you're thinking about it too much.
Right? Like, it's just, no way. But yeah, dude, if you let your, like, some people, it's a responsibility to let your reason for fighting, or let your reason for doing something, let your reason for your dreams, like, increase. It's more pressure, it's more responsibility, more things you have to do, right? And that can crush some people. But at the same time, to your point, like, in those low points in your career, in your life, if you let your reason be built into something bigger than yourself, like you said, that's what carries you through. That's, if I'm looking for self-preservation in those low moments, it's, okay, let me go save my ego. I'm going to maybe go, you know, do this job over here where I don't have to get embarrassed in front of my family and friends. I don't have to lose a fight on Mother's Day twice in a row.
Jeez.
Like, I can do something that's safe, you know. But when that reason evolves with you, it's it carries you through, exactly like you're saying.
Definitely like that. And so leading to this, what motivates you, AJ?
Right now, man, it's probably going to change in a year. I'm going to say that, but right now
Yeah,
through looking at like Dustin and his career and stuff, and through looking at other people, it's very obvious the money, the fame, and all that's great, right? That's maybe one goal or one field goal you can aim for. That's like, to me, that's like almost like a little side thing. It's like as long as I can provide for myself and I can buy a bean bag every once in a while,
yeah.
I'll be good, bro. I don't need much, but there's another goal, like another currency, I guess you can play for, and it's just become obvious, like literally through people coming up and talking to me, through amateur fighters who just had their first fight or second fight, through random people who were starting fitness journeys and stuff like that. The people come up to you and tell you like, hey dude, just from watching you fight, just from watching you work, just from watching you go after your goals, like you've inspired me to go do this thing. And who's to say like the ceiling on that? Like right now it's people around me, but if I look at somebody like Dustin and somebody like even Charles Oliveira and stuff, for instance, that those ripples, they start around you, right? But they can spread throughout the world, right? And I don't know, I'm just interested to see that through more than anything. The money and all that, being able to take care of myself and people around me, for sure. But a lot of people around me, they're doing just fine, bro. They'll be able to take care of themselves. So for me to say like I want to do it for my family and all that, yeah, I do. But I come from a good family, and I know my brothers, my parents, and all them, they're good, bro. They're gonna take care of themselves and all that. But if I can just motivate them or inspire them or other people and stuff just through chasing after my thing and being transparent with that information and being open and being vulnerable and being honest with it, then that seems, at least right now, what the highest goal I could aim for is.
Yeah, absolutely. Dustin and Charles both have great stories, man. Did you ever get to train with Dustin over there in Louisiana?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I know that I was listening to an interview and he was saying that he has his own team and his own gym and stuff like that where he trains there, man. I'm very excited, man. Him against Charles, be a good fight.
It's gonna be a scrap, bro.
What do you think of that fight?
I think Dustin gets it done, dude.
I think so too, man.
Yeah. I think we saw in the first, it's been a while since I watched it, but then in the first round of Michael Chandler versus
Where's Charles?
Oliveira, obviously he can't. Yeah, versus Charles. Obviously Charles came back, but Chandler had him on the ropes there for a little bit, right? That pressure is a problem.
Man, I couldn't. It was crazy, man. That whole fight it ended in the second round, but that whole fight was just nonstop, just nothing but cars crashing, man. Collision,
Yeah,
collision, collision,
yeah.
collision, and Charles pulled it
And
out,
that
man.
is, yeah, that's how Dustin fights. And I was actually in the arena that night. I think Dustin fought. Who did he fight that night? Or did he fight that night?
That night, Dustin did not fight that night. So that was, I believe, in Houston. That was in Houston.
Yeah,
That was, I want to say, April, May. But
yeah.
no, Dustin didn't fight on that one because he fought Connor January and then he fought Connor July.
Okay, you're right. You're right. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I just see I think Dustin has that same kind of Michael Chandler pace, that same Michael Chandler, bring it to you. But I think Dustin gets in those. I think his car is a little bit better suited for car crashes, if that makes sense. I think he
No,
knows how to handle them tight
absolutely.
turns.
Absolutely. And I don't know how much flack I'm going to get when people tell me this, right? But, I was watching this fight and I was telling myself, Dustin finishes both of these guys. Like in that situation, in that fight situation. I think that given that opportunity, because both guys realistically, like, it went to the second round. Both guys realistically could have finished the fight. There were situations where they both could have finished it. I think Dustin would have gotten it done there, but easier said than done, right? Of course, right? I understand mixed martial arts, right? We don't truly know the results. That's what's so great about the sport. That's why we have the fights. So
Yeah.
I like Dustin a lot, man. It's a very intriguing fight. I'm just scared, a little scared, just because it's a switch in style, right? He's been preparing for Connor the last two fights, and to be brutally honest with you, I think Charles beats Connor. I think
I think
Charles
so
beats
too.
Connor, to be quite honest with you. And I think, though, that it's a complete turnaround. Of course, he's a professional, one of the absolute best, should be world champion by the end of the year. But it's just a different style now that he's having to prepare for now. And Charles is brutal nonstop. The thing I like for Dustin, though, is that it's not always the end of the world if you go down to the ground with Charles. Like
Right.
Khabib's a monster. Khabib's a monster.
Oh,
But
yeah.
with Charles, like we saw with Tony Ferguson, didn't finish the fight. Chandler had his back, didn't finish the fight. I just, man, I just can't see. I mean, obviously anything's possible, but I really like Dustin in that fight, man.
I
Very
think so
intrigued.
too, dude. Like you said, man, we don't see it too often because he likes getting in them damn car crashes when he fights, bro, and
Jesus,
being
man.
exciting.
Him
But
and
he
him and
is,
Gaethje, Jesus, man.
he is slick on the ground, man, and he knows how to. He's not just slick on the ground. He knows how to use his jujitsu for MMA purposes. He knows how to make little openings so that he can go into wrestling scrambles and all that. And I'm not gonna say like Charles doesn't know how to do that, but obviously he does if he's at that level. But
Yeah,
I think Dustin's gonna be able to, like you said, mash him a little bit, and then also Dustin's got that wide body, bro. You know, it's
yeah,
that physicality on the ground, that wide body on the ground. It's a factor. It's a factor for sure. And then also on the feet, Michael Chandler's big thing is that kind of, it's almost like a step through left hand. You know what I'm talking about? Where he'll throw the right hand to the body and then bring the left hook up top. It's what he got
yeah.
Hooker with. I think it's what he got Charles with too. I could be wrong.
I know that's how he got Hooker.
Yeah.
Jesus, that worked. That worked. Now, so the interesting part was, and this is why I love Dustin so much, man. I think Dustin's just such an inspiration. He's such an inspiration to everybody. I'll never forget. And through my life, I guess, I have a lot of like quotes and stuff that, that stick close to me, and I just remember him going up against Max, the second time, and he's fighting for the championship, right? And he wins. And he said that, I believe, Teddy Atlas had told him, you got 25 minutes to make life fair for yourself. And that's
Mm-hmm.
a quote that, it spoke to me because of the fact that I'm like, okay, that's, pretty much how I approach every single thing that I do, whether it's an interview, where I tell myself, okay, well, I got 45 minutes to, make things fair for myself, to put out some great content for people, for everyone to listen to. So those are kind of things. And that's something that why I really admire Dustin, because it's somebody that literally started from the bottom and has worked his way up. And both guys have overcome adversity. Both guys have. Man, it's a very interesting fight. I'm so excited for that one.
It is, bro. It's gonna be a good one. I'm trying. Well, we'll see. I don't know if I should say that just yet.
I got you, brother. I got you. So, that fight will apparently it's slated to be December 11, man. I'm very excited to be able to catch that one. Now, what is your goal though when it comes to mixed martial arts? Was your goal always to just get into the UFC, AJ? That's the better question. Was your goal to get into the UFC when you started this?
Yeah, for sure. Knowing that, it was a little bit of a risk or like a back and forth kind of thing in my head. I tried to figure out like I wanted to do something after high school,
Yeah.
but that conversation is like, do I want to try the walk on route? What does that look like? Okay, I'm gonna be holding pads and stuff for a little bit, and
Money's
being a
important too,
dummy.
brother. Like
Yeah,
scholarship
yeah.
money. It's important.
Oh,
You gotta pay
exactly.
bills, brother.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it was, yeah, there was a back and forth. It's like, do you try this completely new thing that you've never done? I've never been like a street fighter or anything like outside of the ring. Like I don't really do that much. Never really have. It's like, do you try this completely new thing and go away from everything that you've done and maybe think you're good at it? Or do you kind of stay on this road, and even though you see like it's maybe not having the most promise and could be a waste of time or whatever, but in the end, like, I don't know, dude, I just decided to like bet on myself and decided to follow a passion or a little spark in my heart, and it's led me places that and I could have never even thought, and it's led me to meet people and learn lessons, and it's changed my life. I don't know how else to say it. Like it's I see martial arts as like my life. I see it through a martial arts lens now. I have other lenses, I have a little
Of course.
biology lens I can use. I have, other things I've learned, but in terms of relating thing to myself and how I understand things, I see it through a martial arts lens now. And that's something that I never would have had if I had stayed, on the traditional path that, most people around me did, and that, I had done really most of my life.
No, definitely. Now, so I want to go back into the UFC stuff right now, but real quick, did you catch the Triller stuff by any chance?
The Jake Paul fight and stuff.
Well, the Evander Holyfield fight this past weekend.
Okay, I saw the end of it. I'll say that.
Saw the end of it. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the highlight could have been packed into the end, but yeah.
Fair enough. I saw him. I saw
The Tito.
Anderson Silva one. Yeah. Yeah. That one was sweet. Anderson did hit like a little triple duck, came up with a right hand. I was clean, bro.
I'm telling you right now, man, and nothing because I was at the event. I was working the event. I was doing media stuff for the brand, and dude, seeing that stuff in person, seeing the Anderson Silva, literally this dude, I've never watched The Matrix, guilty, But seeing this dude do something, I know the moves, right? But seeing this dude just move, I mean, it was like watching him against Forrest Griffin.
God,
Me
bro.
and the way he just decked Tito. I mean, they tell you not to react or some of these things, but I mean, I stood. How the hell could you not, man? It was intense,
So
man.
pretty. It was so pretty, dude. And that's the thing with Anderson. You're saying like he might lose his speed, he might lose his, he might lose a step here or there, but he's still got that like smoothness, and he's still got that brain of like recognizing techniques and knowing just how to move and just how to get out of distance. And dude, there's been nobody better, I think, in the history of the sport than him at that.
He just clocked the man. Anderson Silva to me, growing up as a kid, was like the ultimate villain for me. I'm like, because yeah, my favorite fighter is Rick Franklin, and he
Okay.
took the belt from him, and then I was watching Rich's come back to the belt. He got the title shot again. He got, unfortunately lost again. So to me, Anderson Silva was like this villain. When I was a younger kid, when I was like 10 years old. So my dad, every time Anderson Silva would like fight, would buy the fights just because I wanted to see that guy lose.
Nice.
And again, like it's all fun and games, right? And I was a kid, so but I remember as I got older, I understood, the greatness that he was. But still, man, I could not. But some of the things that man has done in mixed martial arts and just general combat sports, can't believe it. Chael Sonnen was beating him for for pretty much the better half of 5 rounds, and sure enough, in the last minute, catches him with an armbar going in,
Yeah.
watching him, and then watching him do what he did to Forrest Griffin, going out there and really seeming to be possibly the best mixed martial artist to transition to boxing as easily. I know he had some experience boxing before. He had about one other fight, I believe, and then he beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who's a legitimate boxer. Tito Ortiz, okay, not a boxer or anything like that, but he did what he had to do when he was going up against somebody that didn't have the experience. Like if Tito would have taken him to the limit, I would have been like, oh my goodness,
Right.
no disrespect, right? So it's just crazy, man. Watching that thing in real life, though, just watching the flow of the movements was crazy, man, crazy. What did you think of Evander Holyfield taking on Vitor Belfort?
Oof, man. Vitor is still like, you can tell Vitor still got it a little bit. Vitor can still crack. So watching that, I don't know. I remember seeing, I don't think it ever happened, but remember there was talk of Evander doing or fighting Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen anymore for sure. I
Yeah,
pray that he doesn't do that.
Same. It's I remember watching, like, there was some YouTube video going around, or Instagram video. It was like of Mike Tyson hitting pads, and then of Evander Holyfield hitting pads, and then some dude like reacting to it. And the dude's reaction was perfect. He's like, "You're telling me he's about to get in there with that, looking like that? Like, ooh."
I'm very surprised they did the fight. They were supposed to be in California, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was supposed. So the thing that happened here was it was going to be in LA. It was Vitor against De La Hoya. De La Hoya got COVID, and then so they wouldn't sanction Evander fighting Vitor in Cali, so they moved it all the way to Florida. So that's what happened. Now, man, I'm being honest with you, and I'm just being straight with you because I told this to the guy next to me. I told him, dude, COVID did Oscar a favor.
No kidding.
He would have gotten starched.
What round did Vitor get him in?
Oh man, it was a minute and a half.
Oh really? Okay, yeah. Wow.
It was a minute and a half. I mean, Evander was just slow, man. It was just his speed was slow, and Vitor looked good, man. He looks jacked. He looks jacked, and watching that and seeing him get through that, and I could just tell. I was at the press. We were doing the presser, right, for media purposes, and even Vitor's like, De La Hoya is the happiest guy today. Because that would have been him, man. And straight up, man, I literally saw that. I told the media guy next to me, one of the journalists next to me, I told him, good guy. So, man, honestly, COVID did De La Hoya a favor because Vitor would have starched him.
Oh, yeah. Do you think they'll make that fight in the future ever?
I think so, man, because I know Vitor wants Jake Paul, and Jake Paul doesn't want. He called out Jake Paul. Jake Paul don't want that fight, man.
No,
he don't want that fight, brother.
Vitor ain't diving, bro.
Nah, and I think Jake Paul is too smart. Granted, smart guy. May not be the most talented guy in the world, but a very smart guy. He's able to build a product where people just want to watch him. Whether they hate you or love you, if you got people buy your event, you're winning, man. The numbers are there. Whether you're fighting a trash can or you're fighting a fighter that, may not be that skilled. They're watching this guy punch. They're watching this guy compete. Though when he may not have all those crazy credentials that people are looking for, Vitor would starch him though, man. Vitor would starch him.
Well, dude, the thing with Jake is like they're doing it the right way. Like if the thing where it gets interesting is because he has like this other platform that he's made, he has so many eyeballs. When people ask me like what I think about Jake, I'm like, look, I've seen the dude hit pads. I've seen him like do some sparring and stuff, like obviously from videos and all that, never in person, but like he's got some skills for sure. But I would classify him as like a good amateur boxer, right? Or a pretty decent amateur boxer. But because he has all the eyeballs and the platform, he's able to put it up on this professional stage. And they're feeding him people just like they would like an early pro boxer. Granted, they're not boxers in the beginning that he was fighting. He's fought, a basketball guy. He fought, Ben Askren, who love my man Ben, but
he didn't show up to fight, brother.
Greatest hands, But they're building him the right way. We all just want to see we want to see because of how much he talks, because of who he is. We want to see the man get fed to the wolves. But
like he's the bad guy in the sport.
Exactly. If I'm his team, though, I'm building him the right way. I'm feeding him, these guys who are maybe one little step up at a time, and then I'm just waiting to see where they take that step that's a little too much. It's the guy who doesn't really care about how much money he's getting from Jake and them. He's in there to scrap.
Whooping. I'm gonna give you an interesting one right here. So, we talk about all this stuff about Jake or whatnot. Look, my stance is I don't really care if you don't like him or if you don't want to watch the product. They're not forcing you to pay for that product. If you don't like it, just don't watch it and don't talk about it. That's my view. I think anyone, because I hear people say, oh my goodness, if you buy that fight, I don't know what to think about. Man, shut the hell up. Like, dude, okay, cool, man. You don't like it. Cool, man. But why are you hating on people that do? There is a market for this, AJ. There is a market for these things. Absolutely. I think, again, to each his own, man. If you want to watch cricket on TV, man, not my cup of tea. To each his own, man. There's worse things you could be doing, man. With people watching that stuff, I don't have an issue with. But I think the fight he's going to take is Tommy Fury. There's talks that are going with this. Now, I'm going to give you an interesting nugget here about Tommy Fury, though. People want to bash on Jake. Here's the thing about Tommy. Do you know much about Tommy Fury besides him being Tyson Fury's brother?
No, not too much.
So he's undefeated. He's about 5-6-0. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go by the first 3 fights that he's won, like the record of the guy. So first fight, fought a guy 10 and 102.
Okay.
Man, that guy's a true warrior. Anyways, the next opponent, I'll give him this though. Guy had 112 fights over you, I'm sure. Right. The next one, 0-26.
Okay.
Abbas at 20 and had 15 fights, man. Nothing but respect, though. Respect. Yeah. To be fair, I'd probably be 0-26, man. But I just probably wouldn't have stuck with it that long.
Make that money, bro. Make that money.
The next guy, 2-26.
Okay, at least he's got,
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, these are the guys that Tommy Fury's fighting, and people are giving Jake Paul flack.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not
wrong, bro.
So it's very interesting. I think that's the fight Jake's gonna take. No disrespect to Tommy Fury, but come on, man. But I think I think though that fight would sell on it. I do think Jake Paul would beat Tommy Fury. I'll go on the record here.
Yeah, I can see it, dude. The only thing with these ones, like, I have people like ask me like, "Oh, should I put some money on it or whatever?" Like, dude, Tyron opened. From what I remember, wasn't Tyron the underdog in that fight for a long bit of the lines?
He was the underdog leading up to the event, man. I wasn't gonna touch Tyron, man, in that fight, to be honest with you.
Dude, I hate to assume stuff and like even insinuate it and put it out there, but dude, I'm just so worried that there's like some little like back room, like,
hey, we'll cut you this.
Let's make it to the end of the fight. Let's get through this thing, and you're not making a win bonus or whatever. Here's your flat money. What's it really?
Good amount of cash, though. Good amount of cash. I get you. I definitely get you. And it's like in the UFC. So the UFC is different from this, right, AJ? So, or just combat sports in general, right? Well, let's just talk about the UFC, because the UFC is like the biggest fight organization, right? It's something that you wouldn't even think of what happened there. Of course, had there ever been any instances where it happens in sports? I think it's naive for us to think it hasn't ever happened in the history of sports, right? For crying out loud, we found out that the refs were betting on the game they were reffing, at some point.
Yeah.
So again, it's naive to assume that it's never, ever happened in the UFC, ever, even once in like 30, 40 years, whatnot, right? I'm not saying that it's even been brought up, but it's a lot easier to do this in these kind of events than it would be for like a UFC or one of those professional, other professional sports, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, Go ahead.
No, just a little bit easier, man. Going off of what you're saying, but
well, it's interesting too. Whenever you realize, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they own Triller, the one of the promoters? I mean, I know now it's on Showtime and stuff like that, but aren't they part owners at least?
No, I don't know the detail. I know Ryan Kavanaugh is in charge. Okay. I don't think so. But look, from Triller's perspective, they're making a crap load of money, like with Jake Paul. It obviously benefits you to protect your asset, and I'll say it like that.
For sure.
Now they're having to put up these kind of fights that kind of just keep generating money like that, which, again, to each his own, right? I was watching it. I think Triller needs to work a little bit on some presentation issues, that I saw in the event, just a couple little things. I'm not going to say anything too crazy out there, but I think that they still have something going, man. They still have something going, a good thing going. Whether they're protecting Jake and Logan or whatnot, I'm not exactly sure. Logan Paul versus Tito is interesting, though, if they wanted to go that route, because I know Tito called out Logan.
I need Tito to Tito, come on, bro.
I just go back to MMA, brother.
Yeah, do your thing, man. Do your thing. Grapple a little bit, all that. But dude, there's definitely one good thing out of you got to take the good with the bad, right? They have undoubtedly brought more eyes to combat sports in general. Absolutely undoubtedly.
They're paying people too.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's Jake. As much as I hear, Jake, people hate on Jake and stuff, he'll throw out these little nuggets every once in a while talking about fighter pay and all that. Yeah. I'm like, man, I'm not the biggest on this guy, but he's got something.
So you're not a Jake Paul fan?
I'm not the biggest. I'm like a purist, right? I want to see the dude take the long. I want to see the guy scarred up. I want to see the real skills. I want him having this list of names that he's dragging to get that notoriety and all that. I don't like the circus show that a lot of people put on now. I like seeing the real thing. I like seeing Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya, these real virtuosos. I like seeing that and seeing what the artistry that comes out of that. I don't like seeing the show that people can manufacture with it. If you can do both, great, but I'm more of a purist, I guess, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, he's got a little bit of pressure, right? He's undefeated, right? He wants to keep that going. But let me segue to this. For you, AJ, is there pressure to stay undefeated for you?
No, dude, kind of going back to what we were talking about with the 2 losses. It's if I lose, what am I going to do? I'm going to be back in the gym on Monday. If I win, what am I going to do? I'm going to be back in the gym on Monday. I'm going to be teaching my kids classes. I'm going to be sitting on this beanbag. It's my life doesn't really, as much as you want to say it changes and all that, obviously I have goals and all that, but the path is still going to be the same. I'm still going to, obviously I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to figure out new things to add, but the path, the journey I'm on, this is my life's decision. This is what I'm putting all my effort from morning to night into it. And that's not going to change if I take a loss. And the other part of that is if I do take a loss, 2 things. One, those have been the things that have propelled me to go on this 12 fight win streak. All those losses, all those lessons, there's dives that into my game that I no longer could avoid. It was you have this idea, okay, I think my takedown defense is okay, but we got to go test it out. And you test it out. Nope, bro, you got to go fix that. I think my weight's good. I think my weight cut's going to go good. Nope, got to go fix that. Got to it's they give you little clues as to how to make yourself a more complete martial artist and how to form your mindset as a more complete person too, if you let it. And then also in terms of, my goal of what I said, the biggest thing I think I can do out of fighting right now in terms of helping other people see that they can go chase their dreams or go after their goals or whatever, just by living my life. in those moments of vulnerability, in Dustin's moment where he loses to Khabib, you see how he responds. You see he's human, and you see that it's not the end of the world when those things happen. You see you
Yeah.
can build off of those things, and you see the machine that comes out of it that's just even better than went into it. It's almost like, I don't know, there's this weird thing. It's almost like I welcome the loss. Like, have you ever seen Talladega Nights?
Don't judge me, but I've never have. People
Oh
keep asking
no.
me. People keep asking me. You're the
Okay,
third
so
person this week.
there's
That's
no,
crazy.
really, for Talladega
Yeah, man.
Nights.
That's crazy.
Well, okay,
That one
fine.
and Step Brothers, man. But I've seen Step Brothers finally.
Okay, good. I'm not going to talk about your drum set or anything, but on Talladega Nights, there's Ricky Bobby, right? And he's facing this like Frenchman who's like a driver and all that. The Frenchman's like undefeated, and
Yeah.
it's the guy who played in Sasha, whatever, the guy who played Borat. I don't know
No
what
way.
his name is, but he's like chilling in a bathtub or whatever, and maybe this isn't the scene, but he's like, "I'm coming for you, Ricky Bobby," or whatever. And then he sees Ricky Bobby, and he's like telling Ricky Bobby, he's like, what's he say? How does he say it? He's like, he says something to the effect of like, "I hope you beat me." And Ricky's like, "What do you mean, man? You're gonna let me win?" He's like, no, my friend, I'm not gonna let you do that. But he says something about wanting to be challenged and wanting to find. I'm going to take it to a different level that's way out of the comedy context that he was taking it. But there's some gold behind that, like wanting somebody to like challenge you, to put you in those difficult spots, to put you into that fire so that something different comes out. It's almost like, I don't know. It's you want to ride that like razor's edge of like, yeah, you want to win. You don't necessarily want to lose, but you want to be put in those tough spots with tough fights, with tough people, so that the version of myself that comes out in 5 years isn't this untested, unmetalled, unpolished thing. I think that process of losing, or you don't even necessarily have to lose. It's just those tough moments, whether they come as a loss or a tough fight or whatever. I welcome those because I see that, the thing that comes out of it is greater than what goes in,
Definitely, because like obviously Jake wants to stay undefeated, right? Obviously that's where he's
Well, he's got
marketing
different
himself.
motivations, I think, than me. But
Yeah, but I'm saying, so it's a very different story here with you, of course. You got, legitimate combat sports goals, to go out there and chase and get. Now, going into, and as we're nearing the end of this Contender Series, everything that we've talked about, your journey has led you to this moment. Go out there against a very tough guy, a very tough guy in Leonardo. You get the finish. Highlight reel, man. It's legitimately as highlight reel as I can, and I've sent this to a lot of my friends. Believe it or not, don't watch MMA, man. It's a travesty, man. A lot of them don't, right? But that's great, man. I get great people like you to talk about this with. But I sent this to a lot of people when it happened, man. It was beautiful, and it was brutal, and that's how you make a statement, right? Be honest here. Because again, I'll say this: pretty damn good, AJ. Did you feel like you had the contract after that? If you don't want to answer that, I'm okay with it.
No, for sure. I don't mind. There was almost like this moment of like, it never really set in that I did that it happened until like I got to like sit down, I think midway through the fight after mine, and like watch the second and third round, kind of see how their fights were playing out and stuff like that. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, no, and then ESPN like is tagging you and stuff, and the UFC is tagging you on their account, and you see the video of it, and you're like, wow, yeah, that really happened. That's a pretty good knee, like that's real. Dana's reaction of here, like, that's real.
What
Like,
you just did.
yeah. But I mean, there was a lag time, I would say, of maybe 45 minutes, because as soon as you get done with the fight, I've got people telling me to get off the cage, and then the doctor's checking you out, and then you're getting your hand raised, and then I'm saying, good fight to Leonardo, and then you walk to the back, and you're getting checked on by the doctor, checking all your face stuff. Then you go, into the little break room, and you're eating a little snack, and they got a camera in your face. You call mom, and it's just one thing after another. And then finally,
Boom,
when
it's
you
just
get
going.
yeah, dude, just constantly on. And then finally, when you get a moment to sit, I was actually sitting next to like Forrest Griffin and Tim, my coach. They're like pretty good buddies and all that. And my cornerman
from the Ultimate Fighter, I remember.
Fights. Oh yeah, bro. And we were just watching the fights, and then Tim had like reached over and like showed me a video on like ESPN MMA, like of the knockout and all. And I was like, that's real. Wow. Yeah, I think I've got a decent chance.
I mean, I remember Greg texted me. He was like, dude, it's over, man. I was like, yeah, dude. I safe to assume, right? Safe to assume. Now, how did it feel though when Dana actually gave it to you, man? What's the emotion feel like for you?
It was good, man. I really I want to give you all a better answer, but dude, it was almost like for that whole hour until you like left the venue, it's like autopilot. It's just I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, what? Where am I going? What you? This is. Thank you. It's going to be on sports. Okay, thank you, thank you, boss. I don't. It's like,
Oh, Dana,
I
like
mean,
the
you're over the
boss, man. You're
moon.
boss. Like, that's funny.
Yeah, dude. It's. I mean, you're over the moon. Like you hear him like you're watching him read the contract and all that, and you're just. I don't know how to describe it because it's like literally every single box. If you were to ask me to like visualize it and draw every single good thing that could happen, flying knee, first round, opening fight, first episode, ESPN, Sports Center top 10. Dana White says this. Dana White's reaction, the people's
Highlight
reaction at
reel.
home. Yeah, dude, it's like
Legit.
every single little thing. You tell me that it's going to go like that, I'm like, that'd be sweet, but there's probably going to be something, what's the catch?
You know,
What's the catch? You know? And yeah, to just like go through that and just be like, I don't know, just trying to take it in and be in the moment. Um, I still don't know how to put it into words, bro. I really
was it
don't.
magical when you put your name on that paper?
We actually put it on. Actually, I have to go back and sign it today. Actually, I'm glad you reminded me.
Oh, there you go. Hey, on you
But
heard it here on Critical Condition, folks.
they have your first contract built into your Contender Series contract, from what I remember.
Okay,
So
so like
you
there's a
kind of
fight already in the contract that's already been booked on there. Okay.
yeah, and then there's some other stuff you have to go in and sign to like make it official and all that. But yeah, there was no like, oh, you won the fight, like come sign here. I
Let's
guess
get the
that part I
paperwork
got to.
done and everything first legally and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. Man, I'm sure it's gonna feel wonderful.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure,
then
for
and
sure.
you know it's been crazy and it's been again like you just said, man, like and for you it worked out, it happened in that great scenario. Obviously was it a big difference from going from, I guess, the local fight circuit to going to the UFC stuff? Because I know guys telling me like, man, I mean, your schedule is on point. Before for other fights, you just go in, make weight, then go fight the guy. This is completely
Yeah.
different. Fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. I tried to get myself prepped for as much of the other stuff outside of the fight as I could. I made it a point to like there was a point in life like maybe 3 years ago where I was playing some video games and I would do Twitch streaming and stuff, and
Yeah.
like my goal was like never to be like the best Twitch streamer or really make money from it, but it was like to be able to get myself comfortable interacting and in front of camera and stuff like that. Just like I'm
Okay.
sure whenever you started this up, there was a process of
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, getting comfortable with it. I would see those things outside of the game and try to make as much of my life on the local scene as an amateur, or even as an early pro. I would try to see, I would watch the embedded videos. I try to see as much behind the stuff scenes as I could. So whenever I would visualize doing my weight cut, or whenever I got to go there for the promo shoot that was back in July before the fight, I could get all these little bits and pieces of my visualization down so that the resolution while I visualized was a little bit higher than it would be normally if I was going in there, just dry or with no prior
Experience. Yeah.
conception of how this thing worked. Yeah. So it was almost like I had like an idea. I could see the venue. I kind of listened whenever they would kind of tell me how these things would go. And I understood that it was going to be a very like, go here, go here, go here, go here, go here, go here. And I almost like welcomed that. And I tried to keep certain parts of like my normal routine as I would do for like a local fight. But I also wanted to take it in stride, like their kind of system of doing stuff, and get used to that and just appreciate the machine that the UFC is, really.
Is it literally like that? The how we explained it? You explained it. Go here, go here, go here, go here, go here, go here. From the moment
Well,
you
there's
land.
maybe not the moment you land. So there is people that come and pick you up, but from the moment we landed this time, we got there. So typically they fly you in on Saturday and you fight on that next Tuesday. I wanted to get out there a little bit early, so I booked the Airbnb for me and my coaches on Wednesday, and we flew in there and got a rental car and drove to the Airbnb, and we're kind of on our own until Saturday. Now,
Yeah.
Saturday, as soon as we get there, it's very go take your COVID test here. Here's your intro paperwork. You're doing this. Here's your room. Here's your workout room. And then you're kind of just chilling at the hotel for a little bit. And then whenever you drive to the venue on fight day, it is very like you get out the bus, you're going here for drug testing, you're going here for pictures, you're going here for this, you're going here for that. Here's your room, you stay in here, you have your athletic, what's it called, the Nevada State Athletic Commission guy who's kind of assigned to you that night. He's with you the whole time, and they got their system down, that's for sure, bro.
And I mean, obviously it's pretty cool that the UFC does all those kind of things. Like, they send someone to pick you up, provide you with gear, they really take care of what you're doing there as a fighter. Now, wrapping it up for you, AJ. So is there, and I'll ask the question here, is there a fight that interests you now that you're in the UFC?
There's not really I said this in one of my little videos, but I want to take it slow. Right. I want to get to the top 15, but I want to let it mature. I want to slow boil. Right. And it's not to say that, I don't want to get there. It's just, I want to, like we were talking about earlier, I want to be tested getting there. I don't want to get a cool knockout and then jump 10 spots in the line and then maybe get another good finish or something and jump 10 spots. And then boom, all of a sudden it's hard to go back down. Right. Once you're already there, I want to build it up and, fight a lot of these guys so that whenever I do get there, there's no like, oh, this number 25 guy's calling you out because he only thinks you've got 2 or 3 fights or whatever. It's like, no, I beat him and I beat the guy below him and I beat the guy above him and I beat the guy below them and all. I want those names, right? I want to drag a lot of weight with me as I'm climbing up the ranks, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of a name, I don't really care. There's a lot of cool fights as a fan. I would like to see myself verse. But in terms of like what I want next, dude, I'm trying to figure out how to get on that Dustin card on December 11th. Him and Charles. But I'm sure everybody and their mom is asking to get on it. So, I'm just like, hey, if you want to throw me in there, I'm right here. But
that'd be great. Well, hopefully we get to see that. Now I got last couple questions, real quick ones here for you though, just to, because we see AJ the fighter, but we want to see I want to give the audience a little nugget, AJ the person here. So I'll just ask you a couple quick ones here. What's the thing about fall that you enjoy the most? What holiday do you enjoy the most?
Thing about fall, I think that the typical answer would be Halloween, given that my name's the Ghost and all. But I don't do too much candy and all that, bro. I guess fall, dude. I just like the weather. It kind of cools down here in Louisiana, and you get that like football feel in the air, like that kind of like little chill. And I don't know. Yeah, it's I'd say like football season, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A little chill in the air.
What's AJ Fletcher's favorite football team?
Favorite football team?
Yeah.
I'd probably go the Saints.
Certified Lover Boy or Donda?
Repeat that.
Certified Lover Boy or Donda? Both of the Drake, the Kanye West album.
Oh, Brian, you're gonna kill me. I hadn't listened to him, to be honest.
To any of them?
It's certified. I've heard a lot. It's Certified Lover Boy pretty good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I just started listening to it a couple of days ago. Believe it or not, I was late on the wagon. But my buddy who I do a show with, Corey Mack, is always putting this stuff on me, man. He's sending me videos from like at 1 a.m. You gotta listen to this song, and I'm like, oh snap, because I hadn't gotten any sleep because we were doing the Triller event. So I was like, oh my goodness. And the last one here, what's AJ Fletcher's favorite junk food?
Favorite junk food?
No weight cut or anything like that. Just something that you just want to eat after a fight or whatever.
King cake season. If it's February, king cake, 100%. If not, pizza's been high on the list. Wings got smashed last week. Pizza got smashed actually like twice. So I would have to go pizza just by the numbers.
You ever train in the Texas area?
From time to time. Not too often though.
You ever in the Texas area, all around the San Antonio, Austin area? I'll definitely shoot you some great pizza places to try out over here.
Oh, please do, bro. I'm looking to make a trip over there. Y'all got Austin, for what I've seen, is freaking gorgeous, along with a lot of places around there.
Yeah, definitely prepare yourself for traffic in Austin, though.
Okay, well,
definitely. But yeah, if you need any recommendations, let me know. I'll let Greg know to give me some recommendations as well. AJ, is there anything you want to let the audience know before we sign out?
Trying to think. No, just stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be fighting before the end of the year. That's about it.
Awesome. AJ Fletcher, thank you so much for coming onto the show, and to all the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.